Hi there, it's Debbie from Celestial Astrology Healing.Co.uk, and today I'm talking about the full moon in Aquarius, which is upcoming on Monday, the 19th of August at 19:25. That's British summertime, so adapt for your time zone wherever you are in the world. So, as with all full moons, this is when the sun and the moon are in a complete opposition, and the light of the sun, which is now currently at 27 degrees 16 minutes in the fiery, warm, vibrant, expressive, creative sign of Leo, is reflected 180 degrees in the air sign of Aquarius. So, as with all full moons, there is this opposition energy, which means that there's the necessity to find balance. And at the time of this full moon, things are slightly ramped up a bit because there is a T-square to Uranus, which is in Taurus at 27 degrees 11 minutes. So I'll go into this with my delineations. So welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back to my subscribers and fellow Astro friends. I've been doing YouTube astrology readings for a couple of years now, and I'm passionate about astrology, and I am a consulting Western astrologer using the whole sign house system and the tropical zodiac. So contact me if you'd like a reading. That's where my passion lies, working with people individually, looking into your own personal natal chart and seeing what's being activated in the heavens by the transits, perhaps your Vidaria rulers, your progressed lunar phase, progressions, and your annual perfection time lord, which is an ancient astrological timing technique based upon progressing your ascendant depending on your age and your rising sign to see which planet's particularly significant for you for the year ahead. We also can look into solar returns to see what chart is being activated for the year ahead also. So contact me below and look at my client testimonials. So in this video, I will show a couple of images, as I always like to start with a couple of images related to the significance of the signs of Aquarius and Uranus being the ruler of Aquarius in modern day astrology, but also in ancient astrology, it's Saturn, the most distant planet of the solar system. And we will look at a chart of the heavens, and then I will give an interpretation to what's happening generally in the heavens, and then give readings for the signs of the zodiac, starting at Aries and ending with Pisces. And you can listen in for your ascendant if you know your time of birth, because on the eastern horizon, as you take your first breath in life, this is a really powerful dynamic that affects you and your own individuality. In whole sign house system, that's the whole of the first house affected by whatever sign is your rising sign or your ascendant. However, you can also listen in for your sun, which is more to do with your ambition, your soul's purpose in life, the masculine principle within, your drive and your direction, and it can be related to your father. Or you can listen in for your moon, which may be related to your inner landscape of emotions, your sensitivity and reactions, and your environment, mind and body. And that can also be related to the feminine aspects of relationships, such as your mother relationship. So see what resonates for you. You can listen in for other house. I don't work with Placidus house system. I used to work with equal house system and Placidus, but now I use whole sign house system, which has a nice clear-cut way of looking at the chart, and you can see which planets are activating these areas of your life. So yeah, welcome here, and let me share a couple of images. So sometimes people get confused when we think of Aquarius as a sign of the zodiac, because it's the symbol of the water carrier. Sometimes people think it's a water sign, but actually it's an air sign. It's yang as an outward expressing sign, and the modality is fixed modality, so it's fixed, yang, and an air sign. And all air signs are related to our mind and our communications and our interactions with others. And here you can see this glyph here of the zigzaggy lines. So you may think of them as zigzaggy lines of water, but you could maybe think about them as airwaves such as what's carried in the ether, across the internet, across these airways that connect us through life, using modern technologies. And it could be like lightning bolts of electricity like you would get in a thunderstorm as well. As I was mentioning earlier, Saturn is the ancient ruler of Aquarius. So there is a sense of distance, because Saturn was the most distant planet of the solar system in ancient times for thousands of years, that the ancient ones could see with the naked eye. And before the modern day development of the telescope, I think it was 1781, Uranus was discovered, and that's most recently been given to be the ruler of Aquarius because it was a time of great inventions. So there is something about Aquarians thinking differently, thinking out of the box, having their finger on the pulse of new ideas and new technologies is very Aquarian as well. And we do have Pluto just dipped his toe into Aquarius for this first time. So there will be massive developments with AI and technologies. But at the same time, Aquarius is related to a sense of collectiveness and connectedness to community and groups, and sharing our ideas from the grassroots up. But at the same time, because Saturn is the ruler of Aquarius, there is a sense of keeping your own counsel and a little bit of distance, or sometimes it's seen as an emotional detachment and aloofness. But Aquarians tend to be very humanitarian, very politically, environmentally aware, and those sort of things, but maybe sometimes a little bit less fluent at expressing their personal emotions, should we say. And we've all got this Aquarian house somewhere in our chart. So let me see if I've got another image here. This is a beautiful image that I love because it just shows of the vibrancy of what we can do together, sharing our love and our light and our radiance and connecting with others, which makes everything so much more powerful than if it's just ourselves doing things individually, although we can work on those levels as well. So this image here is just one of a group collective radiating out sort of positivity. They happen to be female. I'm female, so I mostly connect with women in my social circles, but you know, this is just a symbolic image of Aquarius, as in a group collective sharing the same principles and supporting each other. So next I'm going to show a chart of the moment for this time of this full moon in Aquarius, and we usually only get one full moon a year, apart from when we get a blue moon, and that's when you get two of the same full moons. So let me bring up my annotate tool just to point out some activity of what's happening in the heavens. So as I was mentioning, at the time of full moon, the moon is always in opposition to the sun. So the moon is at 27 degrees 14 minutes of Aquarius, and there's 30 degrees in each sign of the zodiac. And it's opposite the sun here, which is shown at 27 degrees 15 minutes in Leo. So that opposition is about the moon reflecting the light of the sun, and the sun in Leo. The sun is the ruler of Leo, so there's this radiance and dynamism. And the thing about Leo is it's an energy of wanting to feel special and, you know, shining out their individuality, which then in opposition to the moon, that's much more about the group connective relationship. So there's a balance here, a polarity that has to be weighed up at the time of this opposition of the full moon. And the full moon in Aquarius may be bringing topics to get to a full completion point, an ending, or a high visibility that may have started around about the time of the new moon in Aquarius 6 months earlier, on the 9th of February 2024, when there was a new moon where the sun and the moon were the same degree, 20 degrees 40 minutes in Aquarius. So maybe you can reflect back what was happening around the time of the new year, a month on in February, because this may be showing what's coming to a completion point of those topics in your life. And when we have a 90-degree angle, which we do here, this is called a T-square because it makes the shape of a T. So there's a 90-degree angle between Uranus at 27 degrees Taurus, 11 minutes, to the moon, and also Uranus to the sun. So oppositions are about polarization, and it's the nature of Saturn in ancient astrology. Saturn is a greater malefic planet, and there is something about distance and isolation or hardship or challenge or responsibility around Saturnian topics. Uranus is of the nature of Mars, which is the lesser benefic, and it's the 90-degree aspect, the square aspect, which means that we have to dig deep and overcome certain challenges which may be triggering us into action. So this full moon in Aquarius may be bringing up topics around our own independence, because Aquarians love to have that sense of doing things on their own terms, and there's that Leo energy of feeling like they know best, being a good leader, etc. The Leo, the lion. But at the same time, Uranus can bring destabilization, unexpected events, or upset the apple cart in some way. There's some unexpected shifts and awakening that may be coming to the fore at the time of this full moon with this Uranus T-square. So that's one of the T-squares that's going on. I'll maybe remove that now just to make it easier to look at the next one. And I suppose there is a Mercury retrograde under the beams of the sun at the moment, because Mercury is here at 26 degrees exactly, just 1 minute away from the sun at 27:15 minutes. So when a planet is under the beams of the sun, that's within, I'm not sure if it's 15 or 8 degrees, but basically the visibility of any planet that's that close to the sun is really hard to see. So Mercury is already going retrograde, encouraging us to reflect upon things of the past in this Leo area of our life. But also Mercury is not really being seen, because Mercury is being blasted out by the radiance of the sun, so hidden at the moment. And Mercury is also in this opposition to the moon, because, you know, basically the Mercury is at the same degree as the sun. Let me get my arrow rather than the circle. So Mercury is in opposition to the moon. Again, moon can be, well, Mercury is our mind and our thoughts and our ideas and our ways of communicating, traveling, sharing ideas, selling our ideas, mercantile projects. It's the magician, it's the psychopomp. There's a sense of, you know, traveling, sharing ideas and things like that. And then there's the moon, which can be more about our emotions, which may be a little bit more detached or reflective. And then also there is this square again to Uranus, because they're basically the sun and Mercury at the same degree. So we've got a T-square from the sun opposite the moon, and then we've also got and square to Uranus, and we've also got Mercury in opposition to the moon and a square to Uranus. So this destabilization or awakening or sudden or shocking events that Uranus can bring to the table may totally make us rethink things in a different way here with this square. Yeah, so 2 T-squares going on there, and we've got another T-square going on. Maybe I'll just leave it in, actually. So Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, our relationships, our values in life, our pleasures, our shared interactions, and what we find pleasurable is in the in detriment, in the sign opposite. Is it detriment? No, it's in fall. Uranus is exalted in the opposite sign of Pisces, so is in fall, lower down, having to work harder in Virgo. So there's slight criticism perhaps around topics of relationships or discernment or analyzing things and perfectionism and trying to discard the chaff from the wheat when Venus is in this sign of Virgo. And Venus is in opposition to Saturn, which I've discussed earlier. So Saturn can bring a sense of reality check to topics around could be finances, could be our relationships, could be how we relate to others. So there's that opposition there, which is going on with Saturn at 17 degrees, 28 minutes retrograde in Pisces. Venus is moving direct in Virgo. She's just over halfway through. And then there's a square to to Jupiter here at 17 degrees. So the square, there's three T-squares going on. So Jupiter in Gemini, again, is in the opposite sign to which Jupiter rules. So in Gemini, known to be in detriment, but Jupiter would be then expanding all the Geminian topics, which can be related to lots of different ideas, juggling lots of plates, really dipping toes, and having inspiration from here, from here and from there, and lots of ideas, lots of busyness. Can be lots of fun as well. But there's a square here from Jupiter. Again, the square is the nature of Mars to Venus. So that can be a bit challenging, something to overcome, something to work through. And also there's a square to the moon in Aquarius here. And actually, there has been a recent exact conjunction of Mars and Jupiter, and you can see that Mars is just moving away now, separating from this exact conjunction, which was on the 14th of August. But this Jupiter and Mars conjoining here in Gemini would have been in orb from the 9th of August and will be in this separating orb of conjunction until the 20th of August. So we could actually also include Mars in this square. So Mars is squaring Venus, Mars, the god of war, drive, action, assertion, doing, busyness in Gemini, then squaring our relationships. Mercury ruled, and Mercury is going retrograde. So Mars square Venus could be bringing some tension or things to overcome within our close and personal relationships related to our values. And Mars is also squaring the moon, 30, 60, 90, actually not squaring the moon. Sorry, that would be Saturn. Mars and Saturn are in a square here. There's too many lines here on the chart. But yeah, so Mars is a malefic planet in Gemini. Saturn there is a greater malefic. So there's something about Mars wants to forge forward because he likes to do things fast, and especially in Gemini, Gemini likes to do things very light, quick, really, really quick and moving and changing and adaptable. And Saturn is also in an adaptable, mutable sign of the zodiac, but Saturn is exerting his energy more to Mars because he's in the overcoming square. And he's been in Pisces for quite a while now and is reflecting on some of these topics in the Piscean area of our life. So Mars has more of a say and can put the brakes on a little bit more, slow things down, take time, in a purposeful, planning, structured manner, bearing in mind responsibilities and our own limitations. So all of these dynamics are happening at this time of this full moon here in Aquarius. And we've also got Neptune here at the anaretic degree. Neptune moves very slowly and has been at the anaretic degree of Pisces at 29 degrees here since the 3rd of May. Neptune will station direct on the 7th of December at 27 degrees Pisces, just going back to 27 degrees. And then start moving forward and shifting into Aries next year. I can tell you the date for that. Neptune will move into Aries on the 30th of March 2025. So Neptune is at the anaretic degree, which can be quite a stressful degree because it's trying to get to the next sign, but actually Neptune's going retrograde, so going back. And shout out to Laurie Lothian. She talked about Neptune going back, and it's a bit like the tides receding, and you can see what's being left a bit more clearly, because Neptune energies can be confusing, foggy. They can be inspiring and sort of romantically and creatively and spiritually driven, but also there can be like a fogginess and an uncertainty about what's going on in certain situations. So that's also going on in the heavens at the moment. Is there anything else? Yeah, we've got extra slow moving Pluto at 0 degrees 14 minutes retrograde. And on the 2nd of September, Pluto will return to Capricorn for the very last time, because Pluto takes 248 years to go round the whole zodiac. So between the 2nd of September until the 19th of November, that's when Pluto will be in our Capricornian house, wherever that is in our birth chart, tying up these ends, providing us the last opportunity to tap into our own power, control issues, finding treasures within, working through transformative letting go, release, renewal, death and endings, with a sense of purging out what's no longer required and needed before Pluto moves back into Aquarius here. So that's some of the things that I can see in the heavens at the moment. And now I'd like to just go through the whole of the different signs of the zodiac, starting with Aries. And yeah, just short delineations here, and see if any of that resonates with you. Let me know in the comments below. Share, subscribe if you can, buy me a coffee if you're feeling particularly generous. These videos take quite a lot of time, and my aspirations are to eventually become a full-time professional astrologer. So I'm at the beginning of that journey, and any encouragement I really appreciate. I know there's lots of astrologers out there. I listen to many astrologers too, but if you resonate with where I come from and you'd like a reading, get in touch with me. I'm very well priced at this time. I will have to put my prices up in the future, but at the same time, I'd rather have the practice and to share my knowledge. I could do different types of readings, because at the moment I prepare for hours in advance, then I do a live recorded reading, then I send you the recording, then my type notes. So basically I don't really get paid for the charges that I'm charging. If you wanted a more spontaneous reading where we could just look at your chart, look at what's happening in the heavens without any notes, I could bring my price down quite a bit, I suppose, and just to do things more spontaneously. So get in touch and yeah, have a look at my client testimonials if you're interested. So thank you. And now let us just start with the sign of Aries. So hi there, Aries. And if I haven't said it already, you can scroll along to your sign of the zodiac using the timestamps, which I put in afterwards. So hi there, Aries. As we can see here, we've got this full moon activating your 11th house of Aquarius opposite the sun in your 5th house of Leo. Now, these are known as the benefic houses because the 11th house is Jupiter's joy in ancient astrology, Jupiter being the largest planet of the solar system, so therefore representing expansion, growth, opportunities, rewards, enlargement. Particularly if you're born in the daytime, if you're a day sect person, Jupiter is your benefic insect planet on your team. So therefore you may feel Jupiter benefits more strongly if you're born in the daytime. And if you're born in the nighttime, Venus is your on-team benefic planets. But anyway, the 11th house therefore represents your hopes and your wishes, your long-term goals, and also it can be related to your finances from your career if you're still working, because it's the second derived house from the 10th house up here. So therefore, those things may be highlighted or come into a sense of completion, because this full moon may be bringing some energies to completion or visibility or clarity, perhaps, because it's full illumination. That may have started around the 9th of February 2024, when there was a new moon at 20 degrees. And also, I should have said that if you have your what was I going to say? Yeah, if you have any planets around 24 degrees in your own personal natal chart to the end of the sign of the fixed signs, which are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, these this full moon may be more powerful for you, because there will be conjunctions, squares, or oppositions to these planets. So we have this, the sun is in your house of your own pleasures and creativity, conjoined with Mercury here, reflecting on going back over these topics. Can be to do with your children as well, or entrepreneurial pursuits, because it's what you give birth to that comes from a creative source, things that bring you enjoyment and pleasures. But if you work for yourself, there could be something that you're having to work out here. And Uranus is making a square from your second house. So second house is really highlighting your skills, your own abilities with money, finances, and how you can implement things. So there is something maybe triggering some shifts and changes or sudden unexpected events related to these topics that you hadn't foreseen, because Uranus can bring up these destabilizing events here. Could be unexpected things that come up. It could be related to you stepping more into your power, because there's a sense of independence with Uranus, breaking out of some routines, because Taurus is very much a fixed sign and Uranus is just constantly putting a spanner in the works here. With Uranus and Taurus in this area of your life. So there's challenges coming from your house of money to your house of pleasures and creativity, and also your long-term wishes and goals. Your ruler Mars is in your third house of communications, and you've recently had this conjunction here with Jupiter, which can be very dynamic, as long as you can focus in on what you'd like to work with. There may be some ideas of teaching or learning or journeys or action related to some sort of sense of expansion, because Jupiter is very broad-minded, and through Gemini, though, he has to discern what is he interested to learn more about. Let's have a look at other aspects as well. We were talking about Venus being in an opposition to Saturn. So this is called the house where Venus is in Virgo. This is the 6th house, which is a malefic house. It's the house of Mars's joy. This house can be related to your everyday routines, your work, your service to others, a sense of self-sacrifice, perhaps, and what you do on a mundane level, which may feel, like you don't have any thanks for it. In ancient astrology, it was the house of servants. But it also is related to your health as well. So this could be both physical health and mental health. So, there's some energies that may be encouraging you to focus in on the minutiae and the details, or, really look analytically deep into this area of your life. And you've got Saturn in Saturn's joy in the 12th house of Pisces. So this is another malefic house, Mars and Saturn in this opposition. So there could be something here about reflecting on your either your relationships. It might be related to your co-workers if you work with other people, because Venus is in that 6th house. There could be some tensions there that need to be worked out. It could be some sense of recognizing your limitations here, or what you'd like to cut away here. And there's this square to Jupiter, and also we can say Mars as well, causing some tensions here with this square to Venus. I've got somebody coming to my door, excuse me. Thank you. Ooh, that doesn't look right. Let me just stop the recording a moment. I hope I was showing your chart, Aries. I'm sorry about that if I wasn't, but yeah, I was just talking about the Venus in opposition to Saturn here, and the square down to your ruler Mars and to Jupiter. And this energy, they were in a conjunction on the exact, on the 14th of August, but there's this energy still of Mars and Jupiter conjoined until the 20th. So a day after the full moon in separation here. So the 3rd house is related, for some of you, it might be related to some sibling relationships or neighborhood relationships or aunts and uncles, cousins relationships, something quite either beneficial and powerful, because Jupiter and Mars are both sort of energetic signs. Mars is very dynamic, but it could be to do with the mind as well. So maybe you've focused in on something that you'd like to study, teach, or learn in this sort of local area of around your neighborhood here. So I don't know if any of that resonates with you. What else have we got going on? We've still got a lot of reflections going on here as well, with Neptune at the anaretic degree in your 12th house, which is, again, this is the house of isolation, peace, retreat, away from the public eye. So that you may be doing some inner work, Aries, as well, coming into contact with your inner wealth and in your inner self, things that you can reflect upon behind the scenes. So I think that's all I'd like to say. And things that might be coming to topic to the completion may have started around the new moon on the 9th of February 2024, when the moon and the sun were conjoined at 20 degrees. So if you can reflect back on that, as I'm saying, this Uranus square in your second house of finances and skills might be encouraging you to really step up and take on things that you maybe haven't done before, using your own skills, with that Chiron there encouraging you to believe in yourself. So thanks for listening, Aries, and let's move on to the next sign. So Taurus, you are one of the fixed signs of the zodiac. So this full moon in Aquarius will be happening in your 10th house of Aquarius, Pisces, up here, the house of praxis, opposite the sun in your 4th house of home and family. So there's some dynamic energies whenever planets are in these angular houses, and also the square to Uranus, which is in your 1st house. These are very dynamic energies for you. Whenever angular placements are at work, there's extra power to them, extra expression of where these planets are at work, and these are in very important areas of your life. Things that may have started around the 9th of February 2024 at the new moon in Aquarius may be coming to peak now in the area related to your public status, your reputation, that people see you and what you are doing in the public eye. This could be to do with your work or your status as what you're seen to do. If you're a parent, that's being a parent. If you're a grandparent, it's a grandparent. If it's charity worker, it's a charity worker. But yeah, there's big shifts coming on for you here. And also Pluto has been dipping his toe in here since, let me get my laminated notes. Yeah, Pluto ingressed into Aquarius on the 24th of March 2023 into the 10th of June, then returned to Capricorn on the 11th of June, went back into Aquarius on the 21st of January, and will be in Aquarius until the 2nd of September. Pluto will be going back into your 9th house of Capricorn, and then on the 20th of November, Pluto will be up here in this 10th house of your public status again. So Pluto can represent big shifts, power, control, finding your strength, finding treasures, transformation, huge changes, huge shifts, letting go, endings, death, rebirth, release, all of those things. So that's big shifts that are going on. And it's also, this full moon is highlighting big shifts related to your home and family. There's that balance here between work and career, perhaps, and your sense of what's important in your home life, and how you do things on your own terms there. With Mercury under the beams of the sun, but retrograde as well. That's a time of reflecting on things that are important to you around home and family. Mercury, let me get my notes for Mercury, how long Mercury is going to be retrograde. So Mercury stationed retrograde around the 4th and 5th of August, returns to Leo, which is your 3rd house of your local environment, or related to your siblings and your neighbors, on the 15th of August, and will return to Virgo, which is 28th of August yeah, Mercury stations direct at 21 degrees Leo, and then on the 9th of September, Mercury will go back into Virgo and pass the shadow period on the 9th of September. So Mercury at the moment is under the beams of the sun, reflecting on things, not really that visible. So you've got lots of ideas and thoughts that you maybe are trying to make sense around these topics of home and family. And let's just get rid of this T-square and bring up the other T-square. Well, Mercury is also opposite the moon. So yeah, the moon and Mercury in opposition, and also that square. Uranus is really encouraging you to step into your own independent power in how you show up in the world, because Uranus is in the first house of Mercury's joy. This is the helm of the ship. So whenever you've got planets in the first house, this is really related to your own identity, your own self-expression, your own way of showing up and being visible and how you do things. And Uranus has been like really triggering lots of massive shifts for you, Taurus, since the 15th of May, 2018. That's when Uranus ingressed into your first house of Taurus. And Uranus will be here and has been causing you massive shifts and destabilizing events, which have been given you no option but to, embrace your own independence and do things differently. And Uranus will be here in this first house of Taurus till the 6th of July, 2025. So yeah, that's a really biggie for you, this full moon, and with these big topics, life topics related to, your sense of self at home and your sense of self in the outside world. And your ruler is Venus, and she is also in an opposition T-square. So Uranus is in Virgo at 18 degrees here in your 5th house, related to your pleasures, related to what brings you joy in life, can be related to love and romance and also entrepreneurial topics, but also related to your children, perhaps. So your Venus is in full in Virgo, so there's some difficulties, having to work hard from the grassroots down, the lowest point, working through these things, but also analyzing things, thinking things through. A sense of service related to these topics is being initiated, and also this opposition to Saturn in your 11th house of Jupiter's joy in Pisces. So these are benefic houses, but oppositions require some sort of sense of reality check, because Saturn is about responsibility and your own limits. And you've got this square coming from Jupiter in your 2nd house of finances or skills. And also we can include Mars here, because they are still in a separating conjunction until the 20th of August. Mars and Jupiter are conjoined within a 3-degree orb. So topics around your skills or finances, there could be something quite beneficial happening for you with Jupiter here. Although Jupiter is in detriment in Gemini, Jupiter might have lots of ideas and opportunities related to your skills and your finances, and Mars gives it lots of drive and action. So there could be some opportunities here which can help you forge ahead with your long-term plans as well. So let me know if any of that resonates with you, Taurus ascendants, sun or moon. In the comments below, like and share, subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So Gemini, welcome. This is your full moon in Aquarius reading, short delineation here. The moon for you is in the 9th house, which is related to, let me get my arrow. It's the house of God in ancient times, and it's related to your high mind, anything that helps you expand in your belief system, understanding philosophies in the world, the truth, the morals, long distance travel, other cultures, anything that opens your mind and helps you expand and understand your place in the world. Topics may be coming to the fore that may have started around the 9th of February 2024, when there was a new moon in Aquarius at 20 degrees 40 minutes. So the sun is in the house of the joy of the moon. This is related to, it can be to do with friendships, actually. In ancient astrology, the third house was known to be to do with friendships, the joy of the moon, sometimes privately working behind the scenes in this house of everyday journeys. In modern astrology, it's like journeys, short journeys, neighborhood, teaching, learning, communicating, online presence, those sort of things, blogs like YouTube videos, things like that, your public persona through social media, those sort of things. And you've got this opposition from your sun here to the moon, and Mercury is under the beams of the sun, but also in opposition to the moon. So there's this opposition here. So there's reflection because Mercury is retrograde here. Mercury's been retrograde since about the 4th or 5th of August, and we'll be going back as far as 21 degrees Leo, stationing direct on the 28th of August and returning to Virgo on the 9th of September. But it won't be till the 11th of September that Mercury moves past the post-shadow period of 4 degrees Virgo. So there's reflections maybe going on in your close relationships, your friendship groups, your neighborhood, maybe to do with your siblings, aunts and uncles and cousins, or people that you treat as family. Reflection here, going back over these topics. Maybe lots of short journeys going on. And you've got the square here to Uranus and Taurus at 27 degrees. Taurus here, and this is in your hidden house. So yeah, there could be big shifts going on in your inner landscape of your, when you touch base with your inner self, your inner wealth, what you can do behind the scenes away from the public eye. And you may have been going through lots of different journeys or trying lots of different things, or having lots of spiritual insights or dream work, paying attention to certain things, or starting some spiritual practices that may nourish you on a private level here. So yeah, and Mercury is your ruler, so Mercury is important to you. So Mercury opposite the moon, things to do with your emotions and your understanding of your place in the world. And yeah, as I was saying, these topics may be coming to fruition, may be coming to an ending point as well, related to the new moon on the 9th of February this year. So the other opposition T-square is between Venus in your 4th house of home and family, your roots, your family, your resting place. Venus in full, working hard in this earthy sign of Virgo, feeling like you need to be of service to others, having to work hard and maybe analyzing, or criticizing or trying to discern what's best around topics of home and family. Saturn up in your 10th house of praxis, how you're seen in the public eye, your reputation, your responsibilities at work, with Saturn in retrograde here, reviewing some of these things, maybe cutting back and saying no at certain points. And also with this Neptune here at the anaretic degree, also retrograding, there's a sense of reflecting back around these topics of your work life or what you do in the public eye. The tide is going back, the Neptune tide is going back and revealing some things that maybe will help you in your long-term future related to these topics. And the square is coming from a very dynamic area here, the 1st house. So this the full moon isn't in these angular houses, but this Venus opposite Saturn, opposite square your Jupiter and Mars. Jupiter's going to be in this area of your life for a whole year and moved in, I believe it was the 26th of May. So it's given you lots of ways of showing up in the world that may be expanding how you show yourself, and maybe trying lots of different things, because Jupiter is in Gemini, and Gemini is you, and you are restless and like to have lots of different skills, lots of strings to your bow. Yeah, that's right. And Mars is also adding force, fuel to this sort of airy ideas around topics to do with the mind, communicating and things like that. The conjunction of Jupiter and Mars will be in effect until around the 20th, the day after this full moon. But yeah, the Jupiter will continue to bring you opportunities in yourself and how you show up in the world and your identity. You may be recognized for some skills that you have to offer, but bearing in mind a square does involve action. The nature of Mars, so Mars is squaring relationships. So maybe you are coming across a little bit too what's the word, assertive or bolshy, or determined that you know the way with this Mars, can cause some maybe discord within some communications, perhaps with the Venus, or reflecting some difficulties that you need to work through related to topics of home relationships, where Venus is in your 4th house, and but Jupiter is square Venus, so those are 2 benefic planets. With a square, squares cause us to work hard, overcome things, achieve things, and therefore we move. And these are mutable signs of the zodiac, where Jupiter in Gemini is and Venus in Virgo is. So, and also the square to Mars, or Mars is in an overcoming square to Jupiter, so maybe bringing a little bit of seriousness and realization to the ideas, the many ideas that Jupiter has in Gemini. Maybe Mars is saying, oh, well, just slow down a bit there. Let's just think what actually is possible, because Saturn is the Chronos, Lord of Time, and he brings us wisdom through patience, endurance, reality, responsibility, structure. So yeah, that's a good thing. Saturn bringing some structure to your Jupiterian ideas of what you may have in Gemini. And Saturn is in the overcoming square to Mars as well. So Mars wants to do things quite fast, but Saturn says slow down, and he puts the brakes on and encourages you to take a breather and make more plans. So yeah, let me know if any of that resonates with you, Geminis there. And thank you very much for listening. And I'll be moving on now to the next sign. So welcome, Cancer. If you know your time of birth, your ascendant in Cancer. Otherwise, you can listen in for your sun or your moon. So we have this full moon in Aquarius at 27 degrees 14 minutes in your 8th house here. 8th house is quite an intense house, which can be related to lots of topics of intimacy. It's the house of mysticism. It's the house related to transformation, sex, death, rebirth, shared resources, karmic debt, what you bring to the table. In ancient times, it was the esteem of others, how you're seen, what you offer, how you're valued. And this is in opposition to the sun at 27 degrees in Leo, in your 2nd house, which is very much more about your unique skills, Cancer, that you have, that you can share, related to what you can offer and how you can create your own sense of security in the world. And security and home and family are very important to you. So and it's about using your unique creativity, because this powerful sun in Leo is very vibrant and radiant. So it's highlighting these topics, things that you may have begun around the new moon in Aquarius on the 9th of February 2024 at 20 degrees, may be coming to a culmination point here. And indeed, if you have been working with others in joint topics, these topics may be coming to fruition, and there could be some stresses and tensions, because we've got this T-square coming from Uranus, creating a square to the moon. Uranus at 27 degrees Taurus, squaring the moon at 27 degrees Aquarius, and also squaring the sun at 27 degrees Leo. So Uranus is the game changer. Uranus can be the disruptor. Uranus can throw in the curved ball. Uranus can just rebel and want to break free, or Uranus may bring sudden moments of insight and awakening, wanting to do things in a different way, rebelling against how things have been done in the past. The Uranus is in your 11th house of Jupiter's joy, which is related to your long-term wishes. It can also be related to groups, like a tribe that you feel you belong to, where you really resonate with people. So perhaps there's going to be some meetings with some new people that shock and bring something different to the table that you're not expecting, which really brings big shifts to what you can offer others in group and shared topics where you work with others in that sense of sharing. Or it could bring disruption and rebellion and breaking free in a way. But there is a sense of having to work through some challenges here, because squares are of the nature of Mars, and Mars is about conflict and assertion and action and doing. So there is something that you need to overcome here. The moon is your ruler. The moon is in Aquarius, reflecting the light of the radiance of this lovely creativity that you have in your skill set, Cancers. And also the moon is in opposition to Mercury, the planet of communications, thoughts, ideas, journeys and travels, and how you interact and sell certain skills that you may have, because Mercury is the merchant as well. And there is that square from Uranus going to Mercury, who is currently retrograde at 26 degrees Leo. So Mercury stationed retrograde on the 4th or 5th of August at 4 degrees Virgo and is now in the sign of Leo, maybe giving you the opportunity to reflect upon your finances, reflect upon your own unique skills and how you can use them. So when Mercury is retrograde, you're going back over ideas, you're rethinking things, you're revising plans, and it's usually best not to sign contracts if possible until Mercury clears the shadow period around the 11th of September, after moving past the 4-degree point where he's stationed, or she's stationed retrograde rather. So on the 9th of September, Mercury returns to Virgo. So that's some dynamics that are working for you at the moment in the heavens, and we always have choices to make in how we respond to them. Mercury retrograde has a bad reputation, but it can be good for being spontaneous. It can cause disruptions in our travel plans or problems with technologies or miscommunication. So it's always good to double check your communications and that you're being understood and you're also understanding others. So let's look at the other T-square, which is happening in the heavens. We've got Venus in Virgo in full, because she's exalted in the opposite sign of Pisces, in an opposition. So Venus in Virgo in your 3rd house, the house of goddess, the house of your local neighborhood, your friendship groups, your values, your short journeys, teaching, maybe. These topics, communications, are very much highlighted here with this Venus in Virgo, maybe over-analyzing things or trying to perfect how you communicate your ideas, or if you do teach, how you teach these things. And there is this square to both Jupiter in Gemini, and there's a wide square here to well, it will be wide when Mars moves on the 20th of August out of that conjunction, but there's a square to Mars as well. So Jupiter and Mars were conjoined exactly, let me get my dates. They were exact on the 14th of August, exact conjunction in your 12th house of Gemini. So there's expansion, dynamism, wanting to learn, wanting to teach, wanting to be active, using lots of ideas behind the scenes here for you Cancerians. And this aspect between Jupiter and Gemini, Mars in Gemini, began around the 9th of August and will be in orb until the day after this full moon. So what have you been reflecting on? What have you been doing behind the scenes that you can bring to the table and show up in your relationships? And there's reality checks coming from Saturn in this 9th house of God. This is about your belief systems, your spirituality, your sense of your philosophies and where you see yourself in the world. And maybe for some of you, you have some wisdom and eldership qualities that you can impart to others. Saturn is going retrograde in Pisces here, squaring and an overcoming square to Jupiter, you know, making you harness, cut back and focus in on particular topics. And also Saturn is in that square to Mars as well. Mars wants to work quite fast and dynamically, especially in the mutable sign of speedy Mercurial Gemini, but Saturn is the timekeeper, Chronos, Lord of Time, talking about structures, responsibility, and reality. So there's some sort of sense of implementing plans and structures that can actually come to some sort of sense of creating something purposeful for you. So let me know if any of that resonates with you, Cancer. Thanks for listening. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much. Hi there, Leos. Welcome to your full moon in Aquarius short delineation. You are one of the fixed signs of the zodiac. So this full moon in Aquarius at 27 degrees is happening in your 7th house of close personal relationships, in opposition to the sun at 27 degrees Leo in your 1st house of you, your identity, your sense of self, and how you show up in the world. So there's something really quite powerful here, which is maybe not so easy to you know, because you've got this square to Uranus in your 10th house of Taurus as well. So these are the fixed signs of the zodiac, and maybe some issues or topics or themes in your life that was beginning around the new year, maybe more around the 9th of February 2024, when there was a new moon at 20 degrees 40 minutes in Aquarius. Maybe these topics are now coming to a completion point, or a point of visibility, illumination, and maybe endings as well. So there is something around moon in Aquarius likes to do things independently, using your own unique ideas with a sense of emotional detachment. Sun in Leo likes to be appreciated for being unique and using your own way of being, you know, in charge. But when you've got an opposition, there's this sort of sense of trying to find the fulcrum point of balance. Otherwise, there's a sort of tug of war energy. And certainly with Uranus in your 10th house of praxis, the house of your social status, visibility, has constantly been throwing a spanner in the works here since Uranus moved into Taurus. I'll get my notes. On the 15th of May 2018, Uranus has been activating your 10th house of public reputation, and Uranus will be up here until the 6th of July 2025. So Uranus will be stationing retrograde on the 1st of September. That actually seems to tie in when Pluto will go back into Capricorn as well, until the 29th of January. Uranus stations direct at 23 degrees Taurus. But yeah, Uranus doesn't ingress into Gemini, which will be your 11th house of hopes and wishes and long-term plans, until the 7th of July 2025. So currently you've got this sort of square energy. Uranus is squaring your moon from your public house of reputation in your house of personal relationships, bringing up sort of rebellion, destabilization, unexpected events, and also that's affecting how you show up in the world in your self-expression with your sun there in Leo. So, you know, it can bring sudden unexpected changes to you. See if any of that resonates with you. Your ruler is the sun, and the sun is with Mercury, who's stationed retrograde in Leo. Mercury stationed here at 4 degrees Virgo around the 4th and 5th of August, and is now retrograde back into your 1st house. So you may be rethinking topics about how you show up in the world and how that may affect your identity and your psychology and your vitality. And the Mercury is also in an opposition to the moon, because Mercury is under the beams of the sun, within a degree of the sun, so not very visible. You know, you may be doing a lot of behind, you know, thinking about things, rethinking things. And you've got that square to Uranus, causing some destabilization or uncertainty, or, you know, crumbling stability. You know, Uranus and Taurus, and Uranus to the moon, that can bring about sudden outbursts as well, emotional outbursts, and they may be expressed in your close and personal relationships. Let me know if any of that resonates with you, Leos. And we've also got another T-square with your Venus opposite Saturn. So this is, Saturn is in your 8th house of shared resources, karmic debt, what you bring to the table, what others bring to the table, how you share things, how you're respected, how you respect others. It's also the house which may be related to anxieties. It's the house of mysticism, intimacy, death, endings, rebirth, inheritances, things like that. Venus is in your 2nd house of Virgo, in fall, in a tricky position, doesn't work so well, can get a little bit like overly analytical, overcritical, and it's related to your finances and your values and your personal relationships, the 2nd house. And then you've got this Jupiter and Mars square. Jupiter can, in your 11th house of opportunities and hopes and wishes, long-term plans, you know, there has been a recent exact conjunction with Jupiter and Mars. That was on, excuse me one moment, I've got lots and lots of notes on the table, including last, excuse me, Jupiter and Mars were exact on the 14th of August, but this orb of 3 degrees that you can allow began on the 9th of August and will continue until the 20th of August. So there can be, you know, some opportunities here for dynamism, growth, activity and expansion. Jupiter in Gemini has lots of ideas, because Gemini is the sign of the twins and is an air sign. Mars in Gemini wants to do things really quickly, but Saturn squaring Mars and Jupiter is about reality checks. You know, you may have big dreams and big plans, but Saturn is about, okay, well, how does this work in your shared, you know, in shared relationship, in intimacy? You know, the square, there's things to overcome, dig deep, work through challenges, and then you find that power and that strength and different parts of yourself that you maybe didn't know you already had. And also Jupiter Mars is squaring Venus around topics of, you know, your personal relationships. There can be criticism as well, because Venus in Virgo is quite critical and analytical and looking at the minutiae, and things can't, you know, standards have to be higher, things could be better, all of these things. But, you know, that can be quite tiring if you don't get content with what there is. But yeah, I don't know how that resonates with you, Leo, but certainly, you know, this is bringing quite intense energies to the fore at this time of the full moon. And Pluto is also at the anaretic degree, or the first, you know, 0 degrees 14, about to go back into the house of personal health and everyday life, but, you know, causing quite intense opportunities for you to look deeply into the all aspects of personal relationships that have been hidden and pushed down into the darker recesses of your subconscious. And Pluto encourages release, facing the truths, facing that taboo, clearing out, you know, and within the dark earth, Hades kingdom, there are treasures to be found, but it's about shedding, letting go, truth coming out to the surface for purification, release, and renewal. And from there, new beginnings and rebirth can happen. So I hope that's helpful, Leos. Let me know if any of that rings true for you. Thank you for listening. Like and share if you're able. Hey there, Virgo. This is your short full moon in Aquarius interpretation. So we can see that for you, Virgos, the moon is in the 6th house of Mars's joy. This is the house of Mars's joy here, 27 degrees, Aquarius 14 minutes, opposite the sun at 27 degrees, Leo 15 minutes. This is in Saturn's joy. So these are both the malefic planets. So, you know, some houses are seen to be easier and some are related to more challenging topics. So the 6th house is about work, routines, mundane chores, health, service, duties, and it was the house of servants in ancient times. So it's about what you do on a daily basis. It could be to do with your work life. It could be to do with those that you serve and, you know, things that you do for others in a way of self-sacrifice. And the 12th house is the hidden house. It's about things that you do behind the scenes. It's the house of compassion. And it's the house of your inner self, your inner wealth, your hidden self, you know, the place that you can touch base with when you go inward and you're away from the public eye. So you've got Leo up there, and you've got this square from Uranus. So this is one of the T-squares, and things that maybe had started around the new moon on the 9th of February in Aquarius, new moon in Aquarius on the 9th of February 2024 at 20 degrees 40 minutes, may be coming to a head now, because at the time of the full moon, whatever had started at the new moon can come to its fruition point. Sometimes an ending point, sometimes just real full visibility. So for you, Virgos, this involves some destabilization from Uranus in your 9th house of Taurus. You know, Uranus can bring unexpected events, shocking events, also awakening and enlightenment, or sudden bolts of inspiration and ideas which may be affecting your belief systems in life, because the 9th house is the house of God, and Uranus has been up here in this area of your life. Could be to do with your spiritual beliefs, religious path, that sort of thing, or your philosophies that may have changed quite suddenly or repetitively. Maybe you've gone through many journeys since the 15th of May 2018. Uranus will be in this area of your life until the 6th of July 2025. So this T-square, you know, the moon, your emotions, to your everyday life, it may be related to co-workers, but it also can relate to your own health, your physical health, and also your mental health. Uranus can be, you know, causing, you know, some sort of you know, unnerving, you know, breaking patterns, you know, taking away that stability. You know, you like to feel safe, and, you know, you're an earth sign and you like to be of service to others, but there can be some sort of energies that are causing you to have to dig deep and work through some emotional challenges here at this full moon. And also Uranus is also squaring your sun. Again, the nature of Mars, the square, it causes some sort of challenge, obstacle to overcome. The nature of Mars, sometimes conflict, sometimes severing of ties as well with Mars, the nature of Mars, the square. And also because Mercury, your ruler, is also in a close proximity to the sun. Mercury is under the beams, only within 1 degree of the Leo sun. So Mercury is at 26 degrees Leo, retrograde, has been moving retrograde from your 1st house of Virgo, 4th or 5th of August. Mercury stationed retrograde and has now gone into this reflective area of your life. Not so obvious, you know, you may be having quiet thoughts, quiet reflections, rethinking things quietly away from the public eye. But Mercury is also in opposition to the moon. So that's about your emotions and your feelings of safety. And, you know, that Uranus square is also affecting Mercury, your mind. your thoughts, your ideas, your interactions with others. And Mercury is your ruler. So Mercury will be retrograde until stationing direct on the 28th of August at 21 degrees Leo, then will return to your first house of Virgo, where Mercury is in, we will say her power, because she will be in a feminine, a yin sign. Virgo is a yin sign. So on the 9th of September, Virgo will then have more strength and more clarity of ideas of how to move forward with whatever you're reflecting upon now. And after the 11th of September, Mercury will be moving past that 4-degree post-shadow period. So then you maybe can implement these ideas and move forward with a sense of more clarity. So that's some of the T-square energy. And the other one is Venus in your first house of Virgo. So this is quite dynamic for you. It's one of the angles of the chart. Venus has to work hard in Virgo because she's in fall. She's in the opposite sign of Pisces, which she is in exaltation. So Venus in Pisces can work really well. Venus in Virgo is grounded, has to, work through the critical, analytical, earthy, meticulous nature of Virgo, but, can be very productive. But also Venus in the first house is really showing up about you and how you show up, so how does that express itself? Venus in Virgo in fall in your first house. Have you got some attitudes towards self-criticism maybe at the moment when Venus is traveling through this first house, because it is about you and your identity and how you show up? So there could be some self-criticism here. And also Saturn is in your 7th house of relationships, another angular house in opposition. There needs to be a sense of weighing up the balance between yourself and your personal close relationships. So if you're not in a relationship, this could be people that you serve in your work. There's a sense of responsibility there, or commitment. But if it is in your personal relationships, if you are in a personal relationship, this could be triggering up some sort of looking deep into commitment issues and maybe ideas around what's not quite right, or maybe you'd like to be improved in your personal relationships. With that square coming from Jupiter and Mars in your 10th house of your public status. So recently there has been an exact conjunction with Jupiter and Mars on the 14th of August, but the energy of this Jupiter and Mars in your 10th house of your work life, your public status, what you're seen to do in life, this energy has been around since the 9th of August and will be there until the 20th of August. So maybe there's been some opportunities or new ideas around what you want to do in your public sphere of life, which can be vocational, or it may be related to your career life, your occupation. So Mars in Gemini has lots of ideas. Jupiter is in detriment in Gemini, but can, expand and, give you potential growth and themes of wanting to try out new ideas, breadth of vision, widening the net. Especially if you're born in the daytime, Jupiter is helpful to you. But this energy is very strong. The Jupiter-Mars dynamic is about drive, ideas, wanting to do things and be successful and grow things. Mars in Gemini wants to do things very fast, but Saturn in your 7th house of relationships, maybe you have a partner that maybe it feels like is restricting you because there's a square coming from 7th house of relationships. Maybe your partner is putting the brakes on, or maybe your partner is giving you reality checks, or maybe your customers, you feel a sense of responsibility or commitment. There's something there going on for you Virgos. And at the same time, there's this square from the Jupiter-Mars conjunction to Venus in your first house, about how you show up it could be bringing quite a lot of anxiety, because sometimes Virgo tends to worry and go into, you know, lots of analytical, looking at the minutiae of things. So just be aware of that. And yeah, I hope that's helpful. And yeah, let me know if any of that resonates with you. You have got Pluto at the 0 degrees Aquarius retrograde as well in your 6th house. So Pluto is, you know, bringing ideas of change and shift to your health and your everyday life. But Pluto is going to just be retrograding back into your 5th house, which may be related to love relationships, or could be related to children, or your topics of entrepreneurship and what you're able to do, your pleasures in life. So Pluto will be going back into Capricorn on the 2nd of September into this 5th house, tying up ends here, because Pluto does take 248 years to travel around the whole zodiac, and you won't have this opportunity. You know, there could be some endings and release and transformation in this area of your life before Pluto returns to your Aquarian house, 6th house, on the 20th of November. So let me know if any of that resonates with you, Virgos, and thank you for listening. Hi there, Libra, Libra ascendant, sun or moon. So this is the new moon, the full moon in Aquarius reading that I have for you, which is highlighting the areas of your 5th house of Venus's joy, where the moon is in Aquarius at 27 degrees 14 minutes, opposite the sun in your 11th house. So Venus's joy, where the moon is, opposite the sun in Jupiter's joy, 27 degrees Leo, 15 minutes. So these are the benefic houses, because Jupiter is a greater benefic, the largest planet of the solar system, one that can bring hope, faith, growth, expansion, benefits, opportunities, rewards. Venus is the lesser benefic, and she also is related to pleasures, money, finances, you know, love, sensuality, you know, things like that. So this full moon in Aquarius is maybe bringing some topics to the fore that began around the new moon in Aquarius on the 9th of February 2024, when the sun and the moon were conjoined at 20 degrees 40 minutes Aquarius. So what was beginning then? What themes were active in your life, Librans, around that time? Because this could be the end point. This could be when these topics come to this completion point, this ending, this fruition, this completion. And it's not without some challenges from this Uranus square here at 27 degrees Taurus. So Uranus brings both awakening, realization, rebellion, shocking events, unexpected events, and sometimes, you know, just destabilization of the status quo. And Uranus has been in your 8th house of Taurus since 2018, I believe. I've got that on my notes here. Yeah, the 15th of May 2018 until the 6th of July 2025, Uranus has been in your 8th house, which is related to your shared resources and intimacy. So at the moment, Uranus is in an overcoming square to the sun in your hopes and wishes and long-term plans. This house of Jupiter's joy. It's about what you want to achieve in the future. There's some reflections going on here because Mercury is retrograde here under the beams of the sun. So Mercury is also in this opposition to the moon. Ideas, thoughts, plans related to your emotions and love, and maybe children, and also within, you know, this square from Uranus to Mercury. So there could be some sort of either illuminating sudden moments of innovation and independent ideas, but Mercury is going retrograde. Mercury will be retrograde until Mercury stations direct on the 28th of August, returns to Virgo, where there's more, power. She will be in her domicile. She'll be more able to move ahead and do things, and then clears the shadow period. Well, returns to Virgo on the 9th of September and clears the shadow period of 4 degrees Virgo on the 11th of September. So you may be reflecting on some ideas and long-term goals at this time, things that you'd like to bring to fruition in the future. But this is, this is a sort of slightly stressful energy of maybe having to be more independent within close and personal relationships, because this T-square always causes some sense of overcoming, having to work hard, dig deep, overcome, and it's action orientated in the fixed signs. We've got the moon in the fixed sign of Aquarius, the sun in the fixed fire sign of Leo, and then the Uranus in the fixed earth sign here. So yeah, there's challenges and balance and things to work through there for you Librans. And your ruler is Venus, and she is 18 degrees Virgo exactly, in opposition to Saturn. So she is in Saturn's joy, the hidden house, the house of retreat. Saturn is in the 6th house of Mars's joy, about work, daily responsibilities, service, self-sacrifice. Yeah, it could be that you're reflecting on quite a lot of things behind the scenes with this Virgo, Venus in Virgo, and the reality of what you're having to do. You may feel quite burdened or feel a real sense of responsibility in your everyday life, which may have an impact on your health. But Saturn is going retrograde at the moment, so there's a time of reflection about these things. And there's, always with this opposition, that's the nature of Saturn oppositions, 180 degrees. Saturn, commitment, responsibility, limitations, saying no, distance, what's missing. Venus, pleasures, romance, values, finances. So there's those dynamics happening. You're reflecting on those things, maybe analyzing some things behind the scenes with that Venus in Virgo. And then we've got this T-square with Jupiter in Gemini and also Mars in Gemini. So they were exact. Let me just get me. My notes have got slightly scrambled here. Bear with me. I'd like to give you the right information. Here it is underneath my laminated ones. Okay, so Jupiter and Mars were exactly conjunct and exact on the 14th of August, and they've been in orb to this conjunction in Gemini since the 9th of August and will be in a separating conjunction until the 20th of August. So there's something in the 9th house of Gemini for you Librans, something about, it's about your belief systems and your understanding and your purpose in life, and broadening something, the wider mind. Maybe you've recently had this awareness or belief that you can expand things and grow in a different way, or maybe there's been events in your life that have really opened up your mind spiritually, or your philosophies may have changed, because Mars in Gemini and Jupiter in Gemini. Gemini is the sign related to the mind and the duality. So lots of different ideas, interactions with others may involve some long-term, long distance journeys as well, because the 9th house is further shores, foreign shores, other cultures. But Saturn in your everyday life is causing a sense of, limitation, restriction, reality in this overcoming square. So, making something real from all these ideas Mars wants to do things quite quickly, but Saturn is Kronos, Lord of Time. He wants to do things in a methodical, structured manner to master skills and therefore have something concrete for the future. So Saturn is putting the brakes on Mars, and maybe Jupiter being so expansive, maybe bringing down some of those ideas into, you know, like, okay, hone down those ideas. You've got too many ideas there. Like, what one is really important? What do you really want to focus on? What do you really want to master? Saturn could be offering you that opportunity there with that square. And Jupiter and Mars are also squaring Venus here in your 12th house. So reflecting on your values and what's important to you, and maybe some finances behind the scenes here. So yeah, that's quite an interesting mix, isn't it? Yeah, I think that's how I'm going to leave that one for you, Libra. Thank you for listening. And I don't know if any of that rings true for you. Leave a comment below. That helps me, helps the algorithm. And yeah, I think I might need a wee break. So I'll just pause the screen and move on to the next sign shortly. My screen sharing is paused. Have I paused? Hi there, Scorpios. If you know your time of birth, you can listen in for your ascendant. If not, you can listen for your sun or your moon. Here is your full moon in Aquarius delineation. And you are one of the fixed signs of the zodiac. So you may feel this full moon in Aquarius stronger because we have, as I've shown here, the moon is at 27 degrees Aquarius, 14 minutes in your 4th house, which is one of the angles of the chart, opposite the sun at 27 degrees Leo in your 10th house. So home, family, roots, your resting place, your lineage, the ancestry, where you belong, is opposite the 10th house dynamic, where the sun is around your public status and your public visibility and how you show up in the outside world. So that's being activated at this time. And this may be bringing topics to fruition from the 9th of February, when there was a new moon in Aquarius at 20 degrees 40 minutes. So some 6 months later, this new moon, whatever was going on and around the 9th of February at the beginning of the year, these topics may now be coming to a sense of full visibility, completion, or endings. And at the same time, Scorpio, you've got this dynamic square. This is called a T-square, where Uranus is in a 90-degree square to the sun, and also a 90-degree square to the moon. And it's from your 7th house of personal relationships. So Uranus is about unexpected events, destabilizing things, shocking events, unpredictability, also illumination and awakening and invention. So the 7th house of your close and personal relationships may bring up something dynamic within existing relationships, something unexpected that brings, like, it could be tension that you need to overcome in order to glean the benefits of involving something new and exciting that may affect your self-expression and your public visibility. There also could be some unexpected events around home and family, which can feel a bit destabilizing. You've had this Uranus in your 7th house of Taurus since the 15th of May 2018, and it will be there. He will be there until the 6th of July 2025. So there can be some unpredictable situations in your relationships, personal relationships. But if you're not in a personal relationship, or maybe you might have a sudden personal relationship that just is triggered by this full moon. However, it could also be related to your clientele. If you work in an area of service for others, there could be something that maybe suggests you having more independence and having a unique way of doing things, something that you do using your own innovative ideas in what you offer your clientele. So I don't know if any of that resonates with you. Let me know, Scorpio, and I'll move on to the other T-square, which is involving your ruler, Mars. In ancient times, Mars was the ruler of Scorpio. So we have Venus at 18 degrees exactly in Virgo, in your 11th house of your hopes and wishes and long-term dreams, in the house of Jupiter's joy, the 11th house, in opposition to Saturn at 17 degrees Pisces, 28 minutes retrograde. So this opposition, again, involves a sense of, you know, all oppositions are reflections, or they can be the nature of Saturn, and they involve having to find balance in the opposing representation of each of these planets, so that there can be a fulcrum point met. Otherwise, the energies can pull apart the nature of Saturn. That's the opposition, 180 degrees. There can be a separation. So there's something about your personal relationships or your values might relate to some groups, because Venus is up there in your house of your groups and benefactors, in a place where, you know, Venus in Virgo is known to be in fall. That is the opposite to exaltation. So Venus has to work really hard in this area, working from the base upwards. And maybe there's a sense of criticism, or, you know, Virgo tends to analyze and discard the chaff from the wheat and know what's best and have certain standards. So are you cutting yourself off in some ways? I don't know. Saturn is about reality checks. And then we've got this square coming from your ruler Mars and also Jupiter. And Mars and Jupiter have recently been in an exact conjunction on the 14th of August in Gemini, in this 8th house of intimacy or shared resources, or joint projects or karmic debt. And the energy of this Jupiter and Mars conjunction has been in orb since the 9th of August and will still be in orb until the 20th of August. You can see that Mars is separating from 17 degrees. It's at 19 degrees, nearly 20 degrees. So yeah, the day after this full moon, that will be the widest point of this separation. But you may have had quite a lot of stimulation in your ideas and your plans, maybe journeys as well, because Gemini is Mercury ruled. So there's been something quite dynamic, maybe ideas of expansion and independence and assertion, and lots of ideas that you've had in Gemini with this Jupiter-Mars conjunction. However, Saturn, the reality checker in your house of entrepreneurship or related to your romance or love and pleasures, is bringing a square to Jupiter and Saturn. So Jupiter wants to expand, elaborate, you know, make bigger, grow, travel, do all of these things that enhance opportunities and make truth and understanding, and all of these large, bright, positive things that Jupiter, the largest planet, represents. Mars is more about action and assertion and individuality and ambition and drive. But in the air sign of Gemini, it's lots of ideas. So Saturn squaring can bring some sort of sense of, okay, they're great, but how can you really make these a reality? bring them into concrete realization and reality. You know, it's all very well having lots and lots of ideas. We can all have lots of ideas, but it's the action of bringing that down to structure, doing, action, limitation, recognizing your own skills and reality. So Saturn is squaring that energy there in your 8th house of shared resources, karmic debt, transformation and intimacy. And also there is a square from Jupiter and Mars to Venus in Virgo in the 11th house. So the square is the nature of Mars, and the square is an obstacle, it's a block, it's something to overcome, something that causes us to really get into movement and action and motion, to overcome something, to make sense of something. So they are very energizing aspects, these T-squares, and they can cause us to learn some really powerful life lessons as well. Let's have a look. So that was your opposition there. So I can't remember what I was just saying. I think I've just done two oppositions, haven't I? Yeah, I've just done the T-square opposition of the Sun and the Moon and Uranus, and I've just done the opposition with Venus and Saturn and Jupiter. So I've done those, and Mars is your ruler. So, you know, also in your house of career, because Mercury is retrograde and under the beams of the sun, you know, Mercury of the mind, using your mercantile nature, trickster, magician, all of those energies, is also in an opposition to the moon. So it's about the mind and emotions, and also there is that square to Uranus in your house of either your clientele, your customers, or personal relationships. So Mercury is going retrograde at the moment, and went retrograde 4th or 5th of August, and will station direct on the 28th of August. And then on the 9th of September, Mercury moves back into Virgo, but after the 11th of September, did I say November? On the 9th of September, Mercury moves back into Virgo, and then after the 11th of September, that's when Mercury moves past the 4-degree point where he's stationed retrograde. So whatever you're rethinking related to maybe your career path or your social status, you'll be able to move forward with that after that period of the shadow period, the 11th of September, because once Mercury moves back into Virgo, Mercury is much more able to be productive and use those analytical, purposeful, meticulous skills of Virgo, who's very discerning. So I hope that's helpful for you, Scorpios. Leave a comment in the comments below if you'd like to chat about if any of that has any significance for you. Thank you. So Sagittarius, welcome to your full moon in Aquarius short delineation. So this is happening across the 3rd house and 9th house axes. We've got the moon at 27 degrees Aquarius, 14 minutes in the 3rd house, opposing the sun at 27 degrees Leo, 15 minutes in the 9th house. And the T-square is coming from Uranus in your 6th house of Taurus. So first of all, the full moon is the reflection of the sun, that bright, warm, sunny, vibrant, radiant, positive energy of Leo, shining our light, shining out our individuality, knowing that we're unique and we have something special to offer. And then we've got the opposition of Aquarius, which is more about, okay, you might have all of that, but as a group, as a collective, what can we do together? So the moon is in the 3rd house related to your local environment. And there could be topics that maybe began around the 9th of February 2024 at the new moon in Aquarius, which are now come into a sense of, you can see them in their full illumination or completion or an end point. So the sun in the 9th house of God, about the higher mind. You've also got Mercury up there, retrograde, going back over these topics. They can be related to your belief system, spirituality, religion, pilgrimage, or it could be about education, thoughts about further education. You might be rethinking some ideas there because Mercury is retrograde in this area of life, or it might be a good time for you to go back over some topics that you've previously studied while Mercury is going retrograde in the 9th house. That might help you in the future after Mercury stations direct on the 28th of August and then moves back into Virgo on the 9th of September, but then moves past the shadow period on the 11th of September. So any ideas that you're reflecting on at this time, you might be able to put into action again, which are related to your career life, because the 10th house where Mercury will be in Virgo will be quite powered up. Mercury in Virgo is at home in domicile in the temple that she rules. So it's a time of reflection. It's a time of looking at the dynamics of shared and self. And there is this Uranus square from the house of Mars's joy, the 6th house of Taurus. So Uranus is squaring the sun and Mercury. And so Mercury, your mind, is also opposite the moon, emotions and stuff in this everyday life here. And that's also squaring Uranus. So Uranus brings unexpected breakthroughs sometimes. Throws in a curved ball, throws in unique ideas, shocking situations, things that destabilize or break the mold in your everyday life. It could be that you've had some unpredictable health issues that have shown up over the last few years, because Uranus has been in this 6th house of Taurus since the 15th of May 2018 and will remain here till the 6th of July 2025, Sagittarians. So there is a sense of, wanting to break through, wanting to break down some routines and structures in your everyday life. Again, that could be related to health issues as well, or you might be thinking very differently and independently. You might have a sudden urge to get a new pet as well. That's maybe happened or may still happen. So that's that opposition there with the sun and the moon, bringing topics to an end point from the new moon on the 9th of February. And then when we look at Venus, this is another T-square. We've got Venus 18 degrees Virgo in your dynamic 10th house in opposition to Saturn in Pisces at 17 degrees in your 4th house. So this is very, very dynamic energies. Saturn in the house of home and family, your roots, the land, ancestry. Venus up here in your public status house, analyzing, thinking, wanting to improve perhaps some topics, but maybe Venus has a sense of purpose and service and things that she would like to achieve and be productive with, but maybe that opposition with Saturn is causing a sense of, but you don't have enough time to do that, or you've got too much else to do, or you've got a lot of responsibility, or how can you do that? And also, in this 7th house, again, another angle of the chart, we've recently had this conjunction of Jupiter and Mars here. They were exactly conjoined on the 14th of August, and this energy of something new and dynamic and broad thinking, or ambition, drive, may be related to your partner. However, it could be related to your clientele. If you have something that you offer others, these could be related to your clientele. This energy of the Mars and Jupiter conjunction started around the 9th of August, and the application of the 3-degree orb was exact on the 14th of August and will be there in your 7th house of close relationships until the 20th of August. So Jupiter is your ruler. Jupiter has moved into your 7th house of close relationships. or clientele. Jupiter will be bringing blessings and opportunities. Mars wants to do things really fast, and Saturn is given this square from the house of home and family, from your roots, saying, you know, wait a minute, slow down a bit. Mars puts the brakes onto Saturn puts the brakes onto Mars. Saturn does things in a nice, methodical, slow, structured, you know, in-depth planning way, recognizing what needs to be done, recognizing the limitations, recognizing that time needs to be put aside to create a routine or some sort of structure that you can work in. And Mars, therefore, has to put his brakes on. And again, ideas that you may have, and you may have many, because Jupiter in Gemini, in detriment, has lots of ideas, lots of things that he likes to think about analytically, you know, spinning lots of plates. But Saturn is encouraging a sense of, well, hone that down. What is it that you'd like to do? Make it a reality. You can't do them all. So how does that sound, Sagittarius? As a mutable sign of the zodiac, you like to have lots of change and adaptability, and you get restless and a bit bored if things are too similar. So yeah, there's lots of mutability going on with that T-square with Venus and Saturn, and the square to Jupiter and Mars. So let me know if any of that resonates with you, and good luck with that. So now moving on to Capricorn. Hi there, Capricorn. As we can see, this full moon in Aquarius is happening across your second house axes and your 8th house axes. We've got the moon at 27 degrees Aquarius, 14 minutes opposite the sun in 27 degrees Leo, 15 minutes. So what can we say? The second house is really about your resources and your skills, your own abilities, how you can make money, how you deal with money. It sounds to me like you want to do things on your own terms and have your own independence here, because the moon in Aquarius likes to sort of sit back and just have their own sense of, what's the word? Not relying on others, your own ideas about how you want to do things. You're your own boss. So in opposition to the sun in the 8th house, which is more about intimacy and shared relationships and money that you share with others, or joint projects and things like that, there is that opposition here. So the sun is shining a bright light, the Leo bright radiance, something about that unique creativity and warmth and vibrancy that Leos love to express in a creative way using leadership skills, yet in opposition to Aquarius, which is much more aware of the collective. So there's a potential tug of war unless there's some balance that you can find within how you express and appreciate and can make use of your own skills and your own resources and own self-reliance, and how that can be shared with others in an intimate way, because this is the house of karmic debt. In ancient astrology, it's the esteem of others as well. And we've got this T-square coming from Uranus at 27 degrees Taurus in your 5th house. So it's likely that since Uranus has been in this Taurian house since the 15th of May 2018 and will be here until the 6th of July 2025, bringing lots of changes and new ideas or awakenings of what's important to you in this house of pleasures. So there may have been some exciting, unexpected events related to love relationships over these years, or you may find that you suddenly feel liberated and aware of a new way of doing things related to your own creativity and what brings you pleasure. Or that if you have children, there may have been quite a few unpredictable situations related to your own children with Uranus in this 5th house here of Taurus. And Uranus is squaring the Sun in this 8th house of Leo, which is about intimate relationships, but also can be about deep transformative things, the mysticism, transformation, death, you know, all the taboos, sex, you know, power, all of these sort of darker aspects of life. And sometimes that can bring up anxieties and fears. You know, this house is also related to money from others that comes in from unexpected sources, such as inheritances or tax rebates, money that you don't expect. And also because Mercury is retrograde under the beams of the Sun, just 1 degree away, there is an opposition from Mercury to the moon. So Mercury is about the mind and ideas, and there's a sense of reflection. Well, Mercury is going retrograde here, going back over plans, going back and reviewing maybe topics around how you share with others on an intimate level. And when Mercury moves direct on the 28th of August at 21 degrees, the post shadow begins, but on the 9th of September, Mercury will move back into Virgo, the temple that Mercury rules. And then on the 11th of September, Mercury will be in the post shadow period, moving past 4 degrees. So whatever you're reflecting on that may be involved in joint resources and shared topics, you can then implement in the future. But if you were to share, if you were having to sign a contract or anything, it would be wise to wait until after the post-shadow period of the 11th of September, because then you will have clarity and there's less likelihood of foggy communications. So also that Uranus is squaring, yeah, so Mercury is being affected. Yeah, Mercury, the mind, opposite the moon, the emotions. But, you know, sometimes moon in Aquarius can be a little bit detached. Moon in Aquarius is very humanitarian and is aware of the collective and, you know, the worldwide issues, pollution, environment, politics, not so good at emotional expressions. So, you know, there is some square energy here. The square means having to dig deep and work through things, challenges, the nature of Mars, that 90-degree aspect there, Capricorns. And then if we just look at the Venus opposition to Saturn, this Venus at 18 degrees Virgo is in opposition to Saturn at 17 degrees Pisces across the 9th house and 3rd house. And we've recently had this conjunction of Jupiter and Mars. Here they are here. They were exactly conjunct on the 14th of August, but they're still within an orb until the 20th of August, having applied to, Mars was applying to Jupiter. Mars moves much quicker from the 9th of August. So from the 9th of August to the 20th of August, these couple of planets in Gemini are in a conjunction, firing up lots of ideas in your everyday life, maybe to do work and service, or maybe related to colleagues. There could be lots and lots of different discussions, lots of short journeys, lots of hope and potential to grow something and expand something and, you know, move forward and make projects happen. And they also could be related to your own health, Capricorns. But there is a square here from Saturn. Let me get rid of that and get my arrow back. Saturn, the reality checker in your everyday life and environment, to do with teaching and communications and short journeys, neighborhood, close relationships like siblings, aunts and uncles, or friends that you would treat as your family, like that. Saturn's been here for some time now, going retrograde, reflecting on these topics, but he's giving the square. He's got the overcoming square energy. So he exerts his power over Jupiter and Mars. So that can be a good thing, you know, because there can be lots of plates spinning, lots of ideas, but it needs to be anchored down. And Saturn's good for saying, okay, you want to do that, but, you know, think about what's the most important thing is, think about, you want to get to C, so how do we get from A to B to C? And how can you do that in a structured way for long-term plans to concrete something into reality? And at the same time as that square, we've got the Jupiter and Mars square to Venus. So Venus is about your values. It can be to do with your one-to-one relationships and your pleasures, and your belief systems as well, and also finances. So Venus is up here in full in Virgo, in the 9th house, being squared. You know, there's like a wee fire's been lit underneath. You know, this energy of the square is like, you know, drive, challenge, something to overcome that Jupiter and Mars are trying to initiate to shift Venus. So there can be some challenges here to overcome, to work through some obstacles, but squares can be very dynamic in achieving results. So good luck with that, Capricorn. Thanks for listening. So Aquarius, welcome to your full moon in Aquarius video. I'm just going to give a short interpretation here. You are one of the fixed signs of the zodiac. So you have the sun in the first house at 27 degrees Aquarius, opposite the moon in Aquarius at 27 degrees Aquarius, 14 minutes. And the sun is in the opposite house of Leo at 27 degrees, 15 minutes. So this is a really dynamic area of your life. It's about you. It's about you showing up in life. It's about your identity, your sense of self-expression, your psychology, your mindset. Everything about you is being highlighted at this full moon, which can make you feel quite vulnerable and revealed. But you have been having this Pluto ingress into your first house for quite some time. So there have been some massive shifts going on for you, Aquarians, because Pluto ingressed into your first house of Aquarius first on the 24th of March 2023 into the 10th of June 2023. Then he went back into Capricorn, and then on the 21st of January 2024 Pluto's been in your first house, really bringing out cathartic change and regeneration in how you show up. It's like an identity shift, big shifts, letting go of old ways of being, you know. So you've got this triggering energy which is going to be in your area of life, about endings and beginnings and new identity, and that's going to be happening for the next 19 years. But there will be the last opportunity when Pluto goes back into Capricorn on the 2nd of September until the 19th of November, tying up ends in your hidden house of Capricorn, where he has been for 15 years. But for you, this full moon, you know, it's intensified by having Pluto in the first house, retrograde, reflecting on issues around yourself, your self-expression. Just you, really. It's the helm of the ship. And then the sun is in the 7th house, which is related to your close and personal relationships. And you've also got Mercury there, retrograde, 26 degrees Leo, under the beams. So this opposition from the moon is also to Mercury as well as the sun. So Mercury retrograde is encouraging you to rethink things around topics of close relationships. So if you're in a long-term relationship, it could be to do with that, or it could be to do with your clients that you serve. If you have a business and you've got clients or customers, it could be related to those. It's mercantile energies. It's about selling, it's about communicating, it's about your journeys and interactions and ideas. So Mercury is retrograde at the moment and will be until the 28th of August. Mercury then moves back into Virgo on the 9th of September, where he or she, at the moment I'd say he's more masculine because he's in a yang fixed fire sign, but when Mercury moves into Virgo, he becomes, because he's androgynous, becomes more feminine and able to be productive and use all these reflective skills and put them into a sense of action. especially after the 11th of September when Mercury moves past the post-shadow period of 4 degrees, implementing ideas that you can bring forward in shared resources, the 8th house. But talking about the full moon here, this opposition is about yourself, your self-expression, shared relationships, ideas that are being reflected. And then it's also square this Uranus energy in your 4th house of home and family. So you have been having this Uranus activation, bringing many big shifts and awakening moments, or maybe feelings of some rebellion happening, you know, in this area of your life since the 25th of May 2018, and Uranus will be here until the 6th of July 2025 next year. So Uranus brings unexpected, destabilizing, unpredictable events, things that are out of the norm. You know, Uranus has been destabilizing and shifting and shocking and moving the earth away from the solidity of that Taurian home house of family and roots and ancestry, or the property and the land. Big shifts, individuation, awakening, rebellion, that's all been going on for you. And at the time of this full moon, which may be bringing topics to the fore, that started around the new moon on the 9th of February 2024, you know, these topics are coming to fruition. Whatever was prevalent in your life at that new moon, something new that was starting, it's coming to an ending here. And Uranus is throwing in that curved ball, causing this square to the Sun and Mercury, ideas within relationships, self-expression within relationships, and also to your moon and your emotions and how you show up in the world, related to your mind and your body and your sense of security. So these are quite dynamic for you, these energies of that T-square there. There's 2 T-squares, Aquarius. Your ruler is Saturn as well. So Saturn is now in this opposition to Venus in your 2nd house of Pisces. Saturn 17 degrees retrograde, 28 minutes, opposite Venus 18 degrees Virgo. Venus is in full in the opposite sign to where she's exalted in Pisces. So she finds it a little bit harder and has to work really hard. And this is in the house of shared resources and karmic debt, anxieties, fears, money from others, the esteem of others. So Venus is working hard here, analyzing things, looking meticulously at what can be changed or improved. You know, sometimes it can bring exacerbation to fears and anxieties, because Virgo tends to analyze and go deep into the minutiae and the finer details and can't switch off sometimes. So just be aware of those energies. But we've also had this conjunction down here with Jupiter and Mars, which were exactly conjunct. It was the 14th of August. Let me just double check my notes. Yep, 14th of August, and that conjunction was applying from the 9th of August, where Mars was approaching within a 3-degree orb Jupiter, and will be, well, is separating now until the day after this full moon on the 20th of August. So this conjunction in your 5th house of pleasures, Venus's joy, in Gemini, lots of ideas, you know, lots of sparks of ideas and what can bring you fun and pleasure and enjoyment in your life. But there may have been lots and lots of communications, lots of chat, lots of debate, perhaps some discord with Mars and Gemini, because sometimes the debate can get a bit sparky and a bit of conflict there. But this is a square that's also going on from your, let me get rid of that circle and get this arrow. The T-square is happening from, you know, the Mars and Jupiter square Saturn and Venus. So squares are of the nature of Mars, and this is in your 5th house. So it's bringing together topics around your own resources, your own abilities, your own responsibility and attitude to finances and security, opposite shared resources, what others bring to the table if you're in a close relationship, or how you might rely on them and how they might rely on you, and what you bring to the table and what they bring to the table. And then we've got the dynamics of ideas about expansion and growth and opportunities and dynamism with Mars and Jupiter there in that square. So any ideas that have recently been sparked up for you, Aquarians, Saturn is going to be like, well, okay, that sounds good, but what can you actually do with that idea? You know, how can you make that a reality? Because Saturn can be seen as a reality checker, the taskmaster, the recognizing of the limitations or the boundaries, or, you know, what's possible, what can be done. So Saturn is grounding that energy of all these many ideas that Jupiter and Mars may have been having, and working out how they can actually be integrated into your life. And at the same time, Jupiter and Mars are squaring Venus here in Virgo in the 8th house. So all squares are the nature of Mars, the 90-degree angle. And just think about a square, it's got sharp edges. There's things to, you know, work hard, to step over, to dig deep, to overcome through that nature of the square. And from that, we find our own inner strength and skills that we may not have known that existed until we've had to dig that deep. But for you, certainly, Aquarians, you've got lots of energies going on for you in very transformative ways with Pluto here and with all these dynamics. So let me know if any of that resonates with you, and thank you for listening. Hi there, Pisces, patient Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, by no means the least. So for you, welcome for this full moon in Aquarius video, just a short delineation here. So the full moon at 27 degrees Aquarius, 14 minutes, is in opposition to the sun at 27 degrees Leo, 15 minutes, in the house of Saturn's joy. So this is the hidden house for you here, where the moon is living, residing during this full moon illumination of this bright, fiery Leo, radiant, warm sun, the creative leader, the one that loves to be appreciated and, you know, loves to be in the spotlight and shine in the creative light. So that sun energy is in your 6th house of Mars's joy, being reflected in the 12th house of Saturn's joy. So the sun in the 6th house, co-present with Mercury, while the sun is your ruler for, no, he's not. Sorry, I was getting confused. Jupiter is your ruler in ancient astrology. We'll go into that shortly. But you've got the sun in Jupiter, in sorry, you've got the brain freeze. You've got the sun at 27 degrees Leo in the 6th house, co-present with Mercury, who is retrograde under the beams of the sun. So there's only about 1 degree there. So Mercury is retrograde, highlighting reflections and rethinking and revisiting ideas, maybe around your everyday life, your sense of service to others. It could be working life. If you don't work, it could be about your routines and mundane chores. This is the house related to servants, self-sacrifice, and also your health, your physical and mental health. So while Mercury is retrograde for you, Pisces, there is a time of looking back and revisiting some of these ideas. And Mercury will be retrograde until the stations direct on the 28th of August in Leo. And then on the 9th of September, Mercury will move back into your 7th house of Virgo, where Mercury is in the temple that she rules. So after the 11th of September, that would be a good time to move forward and implement ideas that you may be reflecting upon related to your everyday work, maybe related to your co-workers, maybe related to your health and your regimes and things that keep you well, or what you do for others. So this Mercury retrograde, this is what's happening for you at the same time as this full moon. And also Mercury is opposite the moon, because Mercury is in such close proximity to the sun. So the opposition in T-square is also going to Mercury, and then we bring it down to Uranus here in the 3rd house of Taurus. So T-squares are about trying to balance things in this opposition. Otherwise, there can be a tug of war, separation energy. And, you know, it looks to me that the moon in the 12th house, far from the ship's helm, is wanting privacy and retreat and space, because the moon is in Saturn's joy, and Aquarius likes to keep his own counsel. And also you've got Pluto up there at 0 degrees, also bringing around deep transformative change. Reflecting on your inner self and your inner wealth, the hidden part of you, that your subconscious, your dreams, your inner compass that drives you through life, and a sense of knowing yourself and knowing your sense of purpose in a compassionate way, and where you belong in life. And as a Pisces, you're sensitive and emotional and compassionate to others. And with the moon in Aquarius, there is a heightened awareness of the collective, as in what's going on in the whole world, what's affecting the whole planet, you know, maybe environmental, political issues, or, you know, moral issues. These things, you maybe pick up on these undercurrents very strongly, Pisces, and you need to reflect and have space to process these things behind the scenes. And Uranus has been in your 3rd house of Taurus since the 15th of May 2018, and will remain here until the 6th of July 2025. But Uranus in this house of local environment, or to do with sibling relationships, or to do with communications, or to do with teaching, or, you know, online presence, social media. There's been lots of either breakthroughs or changes or destabilization with these things. And Uranus is causing a square, this 90-degree aspect to the sun in your everyday sense of duties and work and service, and to your mind, your ideas. So there could be potential awakenings and sudden lightning bolts of inspiration, freedom thinking outside the box, that may happen during this full moon. And also the moon is in square to Uranus, so, you know, your emotions may feel slightly unsteady as well, because Uranus is disruptive in this respect. You know, Uranus can be like a volcano just suddenly erupting after being dormant for thousands of years. So unexpected events going on with this T-square opposition of the sun and the moon, and Uranus and Mercury, the moon and Uranus. And your ruler is Jupiter, and Jupiter has recently been in a conjunction with Mars on the 14th of August. And this is in a very dynamic area of your chart. This is in the 4th house of home and family, your roots, your resting place, where you come to retreat away from the world in your home of refuge. So with Jupiter, the largest planet of the solar system, your ruler, with Mars about dynamism and action and drive, in the sign of Gemini, about the twins and ideas, the air sign of mutability, you know, like a ping pong match of giving one idea and bouncing it off and having another, or counter argument or counter fun. It's just like frivolous, and ideas are spinning, and Jupiter wants to expand and make something happen, and Mars wants to do it in a really quick way, because he loves to do things quickly, especially in this mutable light Aries sign of Gemini. However, we've also got this opposition with Venus in your 7th house. These are dynamic angles of your chart, which you maybe are going to be feeling quite strongly at this full moon, Pisces, because Saturn in your 1st house is opposite Venus in Virgo in fall. That means in a place of weakness. She's sort of not in the house that she's exalted in. She's not in her rulership of Virgo. She's in the place, no, sorry, not the rulership of Virgo, Libra or Taurus. So she's in full, the opposite of Pisces, which she's exalted in. So she's having to work really hard, and it's in the house of relationships. And she's in opposition to Saturn, and Saturn's about reality, restriction, limitation, commitment, saying no. And then you've got this square coming from Mars to Venus. So Mars is about action and dynamism. Venus is about pleasures and appreciation and values and finances. So there could be some tensions around home and close relationships there. Jupiter wants to expand. Jupiter's a benefic planet, and he is also squaring Venus in your house of relationships. However, Saturn is in the overcoming square. So any ideas that you have that you want to move forward quickly with, that Mars and Jupiter maybe want to enforce, are limited by Saturn's square here, because he is in the overcoming square. So he's saying, okay, things maybe don't seem right, or you've got some ideas here that you want to bring to the table that affect our home and family or our property or security. But, you know, what can be done in a way that is structured, that is, you know, enduring, patient, you know, thinking in a rational way that can bring these shifts and something to implement for the long-term future in a practical manner. So that's some energies that I can see there. And Jupiter being your ruler, you know, Jupiter is in the home and family. So Jupiter wants to do something that's going to be fortuitous and beneficial to the family and the roots. And at the same time as all of that, you have got this area of Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius in your 12th house as well. So I feel like this time of this full moon is really important for you to reflect, because you're maybe going to be looking at the darker shadows of some aspects of your life that maybe been pushed down, and the truth needs to come up to be illuminated at this full moon, Pisces. And you've also got Neptune, the modern day ruler of Pisces, at the 29th anaretic degree of Pisces, retrograde. So just related to your sense of self. And Neptune, let me get my laminated notes for my long-term slower transits. I'm sitting on an exercise ball, so sorry, I nearly fell off. Oh dear. Neptune, one of the very slower outer transpersonal planets, has been in your, when did Neptune go in? I've taken it out, I haven't got that bit of information. Okay, well, Neptune, I think it's 2011 maybe. I'd have to double check that, but I think Neptune has been in Pisces since about 2011. And what I've got here is on the 7th, well, on the 2nd of July, Neptune stationed retrograde at 29 degrees, that's the anaretic degree. And on the 7th of December, Neptune will station direct at 27 degrees Pisces. And then next March the 30th, 2025, Neptune will ingress into Aries. So while Neptune is in your first house, the tide is going back, related to how you show up in the world, revealing parts of yourself that maybe you weren't aware of, or, you know, you may have some aspirations and dreams and faith and creativity and spiritual ideas. So while Neptune is going retrograde, it's like the tide is going back. The waves of Pisces are going back the way, revealing some parts of yourself that may be helpful for the future. So I think I'm going to leave it there, Pisces, and thank you very much for listening. So I'm going to stop the share. Thank you for listening to my video of the full moon in Aquarius. I hope you found it interesting. I mean, some full moons don't have all these T-squares going on, and the T-squares are quite dynamic, activating energies. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and remember that everything changes, and remember that through challenging times, it's how we really learn and make sense and find our inner strength as well. So there's always something positive to be had, and that could be connecting to your communities to shine that light out and celebrate life and what we have and what we all have together, and supporting each other to shine out our own individual lights, as expressed by this sun in Leo being reflected by the moon in Aquarius. So thanks for listening. Again, if you'd like a reading, get in touch with me. I feel like I'm getting a bit of a sore throat and coming down with something. I hope not. So sorry if I've been a bit all over the place for this video. And yeah, thank you for subscribing if you're able to support me in doing this, or leave a comment below. Bye for now.